Good day, everybody. This is Craig with the Foundry University. We're excited to be with you today. We are going to be sharing today Concave Graduation. Concave Graduation is going to give you a nice face frame. It's going to build up weight around the face, which is awesome. This technique can be used on longer hair, shorter hair. It's designed to distribute interior weight along with, if the hair is shorter, to create movement back away from the face. We're going to do a longer version, then I'll kind of work it into a couple shorter versions just so you can see it. So with the technique, we are going to start with a center section. In that center section, all following sections starting on her right side will be taken at a slight diagonal angle, roughly 45-degree angle, pulled across the brow region. And when I pull this, you'll see that this is going to form a T to the part. It's not going to be an L, it's going to be a T. So straight out, clean comb, right out of this root, into my hand, and it's gonna be cut. I will be standing on that side to illustrate this. What I do to one side, I'll also do to the other. And we'll talk about aspects to focus on as we move through the head to keep each section parallel, following the previous section, pulling to the same precise place so that we can create the graduation that we're looking for. So you're gonna love it. So here we go. I'm gonna take my first section in this haircut. In this, you'll see that I'm pulling T to my part, so I'm just gonna clip my left side away on her. That way, I'm not going to be gathering any of that hair. My next section will then be taken at a 45-degree angle. I will comb this section, T to the part. The length that I want this hair to start at, obviously, is the length that I will begin at. Typically with a face frame or long layers even, you want to stay in the bottom third, but we're going to roll this up a little bit higher so you can see the effect. And I'm going to go right to her jaw and take my first section, pulling T to the part. Couple things I want to illustrate is I don't want to be standing over here, and I don't want to be standing over here because I need to be square to my section so I can clearly pull to my center and cut a line. A couple things are happening. One, the elevation of the head is moving and tilting up and down. Also, when I pull this out into my hands, I need to make sure that whatever the width of that section is, everything is strategically coming out to that place in space. So as I've taken my first section, I will comb this down and you'll see a gentle curvature beginning. This will now be my guide for the rest of the haircut. I'll take my next section, parting to my finger at a finger width section, comb this again, T to the part, so you're making a nice T. And what I'm gonna do in the first 1 to 3 sections is with my first section, I'm gonna back this up. In starting this haircut, we are gonna take our first section and we are gonna pull down and decide our length for our guide. I will then take this section and elevate it to the plane of the head. In these first 3 to 4 sections, the head is a little bit more flat. As you pass this area, the head starts to round. Since the head rounds, the head will be throwing the hair into a circular form, which is going to support the round graduation. So then I'll be taking this and take my line for my first section on concave graduation. I'll take my next section and we will read the elevation of this hair. And what we're looking for is an even shine. We're paying attention to the elevation this way, and we're paying attention to our finger angle this way. We're also ensuring that we're keeping even shine on the hair. Once that's been established, my fingers will match the part, my scissor will then match my fingers, and I will come through and take my length and design. My next section will be slightly higher in elevation, as you can see, and since it's slightly higher in elevation, I will elevate that up. As each section climbs the head, what you're gonna notice is it's gonna create that form of graduation. So we'll take our next section at a finger width, following a diagonal design line, combing this into my finger, finding the elevation. You're looking for the shine line and or the elevation of your comb. Once you see that, you can then draw this together, pull out clean, and take your section and then cut. Now notice my finger's the same angle as the head through these first 3 to 4 sections. If I take my fingers and I drop down or I over elevate, I'm gonna change my design line. So let me illustrate what's happening just in these first 3 sections so you can see the shape that you're gonna be getting in this haircut. So I'll take this down and you can see the graduation in the weight distribution here, and you can see a really nice C shape taking place on this haircut. So now that this is established, my third section will be my design line, and I will continue working up through the head. As we work through the back of the head, what you're gonna notice and find is the contour of the head is gonna change. We have to make sure we stay static in this design line out in space. We also wanna ensure we're not scooping the hair around. So we'll take this section and work to cut that design line. Then I will feed the section moving up towards the center of her crown and add that in. And I will continue this as I work through the head shape. So again, you can see these sections are getting wider. I'll simply go to what I know I can control on my fingers. And as I rotate around the head, pulling T to the part. Now this should be facing your mirror. If the section is facing your mirror, I could easily look up and glance and make sure that my fingers, my body position, and I'm pulling T to my part so I can execute the haircut as effectively and efficiently as possible. As you go through, it's important to make sure you're reading this line and make sure it's straight. Comb it down periodically to also see how your shape is coming along, and you'll see your graduation and your shape. As I continue through, I would have a mirror on this side so then I could see where I am in my sectioning, or I might need to step around to the side so I can see my section and get it clean. A couple tips or red flags. One red flag would be make sure that her head doesn't follow you and start to tilt forward, as that'll change your elevation. Ensure that you're always working the hair into your hands so you control the shape and your design. If this line starts carrying and I start walking over, I'm gonna change my shape. And this line would then go backwards versus a concave shape, which is gonna go from center of nose and back center to her sternum in the front of her body. Again, I'm gonna go right back to the center as these sections are starting to get really wide. Clean this line up, cut your line. Keep your left hand stationary. Unless you're left-handed, then it would be opposite. Fingers following the part. My part sends the hair where it needs to go, and then my fingers simply come in and capture it, and the scissor will then take it off. As I continue working through the head, you can see these sections coming around from the back, and I will work this all the way through until I run out of hair. Design line is your part, moving to the design line that you will cut and cut. Again, following the rules of scissor control, moving just your thumb and keeping tension between your first and not past your second knuckle. As you continue working through this hair, work around and through into your hand and cut. So the cool thing is this just becomes very repetitive. The challenge that people will have is ensuring that they keep their body where it needs to be and they're in control of their shape with their body position, their combing, and their pulls to feed it to your desired design line. Notice I have weight that I'll distribute to my left foot, and then I will push off my back foot to keep me stable as I reach over the head, combing, and then I allow my right foot just to rock back down and it puts me right back in place. So there, you really don't need to do a whole lot of moving around. So now we'll comb this down and I'm gonna show you the shape and the contour that we have built. So when you comb this down, you can see the curvature that we have. We can also see the buildup of weight. As I tilt her head forward, you can see the weight distribution that you've created. The other thing I want you to make note of is when we are pulling hair across the head, such as this hair that is being cut is in our hand here, but as it goes back, a lot of this hair is actually coming from the interior. So it's not a face frame that just exists and leaves a lot of weight. You're actually distributing weight throughout the side panel of the head and through the top that allow this hair to get more movement. So you can see that these pieces are reaching from the inside. So I want you to really look at what happens, where they fall, when they fall into place, and the contour that they fall across, which is how you build shape. So when we go to the other side, what we want to look for is establishing and connecting to our guide from the previous side. So the way to do that is I'm going to take a small triangular shape out of my initial section where I began my haircut. I will then match up a triangular shape moving into the other side. And what you're gonna notice is this top section from this very top piece or the tip of the point of the triangle will then set up to your guide moving into your other side. And that way you make sure that everything is consistent. So to establish our new guide for the other side, we took our section from our previous side. We're gonna take the very center top piece, drop the rest out. The reason you drop the rest down is we don't want to cut into it. Pulled over to the opposite side, same rule, looking for even tension and shine, pulling T to my part. This will then come over and into my fingers. You can see your guide, and we cut to the guide. Once your guide is established, then we can take the previous side, move that out of my way so I don't cut into it, and we basically will step and repeat, moving into each section, following parallel to the previous section, combing clean at the root, into my fingers, sliding out to my guideline. Fingers need to be the same angle as my part. And I follow my design line, making sure everything is T to the part. Comb that down, and again, you'll start seeing the shape and graduation building and a C shape. I'll take my next section, comb that down and through, comb this up and over, combing into my hands, into your finger, and cut. So let me define what T to the part is. And T to the part is, imagine this being the top, and that would be your T, and this is my part line. Then the center section or column that I pull into my hand, you want this to look like a letter T. So in your section, you have a T. This section would then come out into my hand to form the base of the T. This will then come out, and I'll continue that line, working down, elevating where it needs to be to keep it clean. Again, this side needs to be facing the mirror to ensure that my pulls are where they need to be. T, this is the base column coming straight into my hand, and cut. Now notice my elbow is in the air. If my elbow's down, look where my fingers go. I want to make sure that I'm holding the hair where it needs to be, and I'm controlling this section by my hands and allowing the head after my first 3 sections where I built some graduation, and by pulling around the head and the curvature of the head is what's gonna create all this really nice graduation around her face, along with, by keeping a strong angle, T to my part, this hair will then move in a circular fashion that's moving inward and then back out as we move towards her sternum. Combing everything with my wide tooth portion of my comb just to get control, move it where it needs to be, place my finger where I'm gonna be combing to, so I know I'm right in the center, pull my first section so I'm always going back to where I began my haircut. Take my section, T to my part, elbow, come through, gently. Again, we're paying attention to the contour of the head and the elevation of the head. So when you look at this, you can see that you get nice movement, nice flow, and a nice shape around her face. If we take this and we lean her head down, you'll see the graduation that's being built on both sides. And the great thing about this is when she wears this back off of her face, it offers movement. This haircut allows us to create a lot of interior movement. It gives her layers throughout the haircut. And then if you wanted to add any of the other techniques from Foundry University, you could absolutely do that to open up the rest of the haircut. But for concave graduation, it's the building of weight. Concave is an inward curvature around the face. We're gonna get this blow dried out and we'll show you the final look. All right, so this is the wrap on concave graduation. Again, we brought everything diagonally forward across the head, creating a nice movement to create a nice shape, and it opens up that face so you can see that this hair will flow back off her face really nice. It's very disheveled. You can see the movement and the layers it offers you in the back and through the sides, and that's the only technique that was facilitated on our lovely Vanna today. And there you have it, concave graduation, styled out by Kylie, our one and only. If you like what you saw, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're just learning or you're a seasoned pro or getting started in your career, Foundry University has lessons for you.